This week's episode is about the whole armor of God. I'm Rachael Keefe, and this is Monday's Muse. Over the summer, the gospel texts in the lectionary have focused on the bread of life, but the epistle readings have been from the book of Ephesians. We would do well to pay a little bit closer attention to Ephesians. While there's much that is debated about the book, who wrote it, when and where and to whom, we can agree that the content of the book is primarily encouragement to live Christian faith in the public sphere. How to live faith out loud under Roman oppression. It's advice that we would do well to pay attention to today. One passage in particular stands out, and it's the passage from this Sunday, and it is the put on the whole armor of God passage in chapter 6, verses 10 to 20. Now, typically progressive Christians shy away from anything that brings military imagery and Christian faith in conversation. Let's not be so quick to shy away from this passage, though, because we remember that armor is meant to protect the wearer. It is not a weapon. It is defensive in a good way. So let's take a look at that whole armor of God that we are invited to put on, even now. Remembering that the first hearers of this advice were people who saw Roman soldiers wearing this armor every day. And so the writer takes this symbol of the empire and turns it into a strength of the oppressed, a strength that could potentially liberate them. We could do with some liberation today. So let's put on that belt of truth that will enable us to discern true leadership and leave behind false news and misguiding of information. Wouldn't that be nice? So let's buckle that belt of truth and then pick up the breastplate of righteousness that protects the heart and the lungs and makes it so that we have to face conflict head on, because if we turn and run away, our backsides are exposed. But that breastplate that will allow us to breathe deeply and our heart to beat calmly, knowing that it is protected. And then we take the shield of faith that we can use to deflect falseness and evil of the day, that we can hide ourselves from all that is evil, while we are holding on to the shield of faith that can protect the body of Christ and strengthen us. We take up the sword of the Spirit that will allow us to cut away all that is unnecessary, all that will keep us away from bringing love into the world. And while we have all this gear, we don't want to forget the shoes that will ready us to proclaim the gospel of peace. Shoes that are sturdy and strong and comfortable, because the way of peace is not an easy way. And we will be much rejected. So we want shoes that will enable us to stand firm, to hold fast. And then there is the helmet of salvation. And I think this is one of my favorite pieces of armor, because if you put on that helmet of salvation, you are assured that you are God's beloved, and you are able to see that all are God's beloved. And that helmet shields us from all the things that says, I cannot, I am not enough, my neighbor is scary, all of those things, and fills us with the sure and certain knowledge that we are God's beloved. This armor of God, this whole armor of God, is much needed by the church today, because we need to live our faith fully in the public sphere without being distracted from the gospel of peace and the way of love. So let's put on this armor And let's be the body of Christ, alive and well today, strong in the faith. Join me in grabbing some armor. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.